I think we're close enough to 11:30. We'll get started. First, as we say in all these sessions, you all have feedback forms. Please remember to fill out those forms at the end of the session. And as you probably saw from the Will Reynolds session, that they're going to be selecting 6 forms today, and each one will receive a gold pass, which is always nice to have. Also, they're going to let us know when there's 15 minutes left and 5 minutes left, and we'll be sure to get in the Q&A there, because I'm sure if you're launching a merchant program, you'll have lots of questions. So with that, why don't we get started? The genesis for this session was really myself sitting out there over a year ago. I was a publisher. I owned 5+ websites. I was tasked Mimeo.com with starting a merchant program and was completely lost after thinking that as a publisher I would have all the knowledge I need to actually launch a merchant program. And what we're going to take you through is kind of like an A to Z journey of that. Just as quick background, I'm Jeff Grill. I'm the VP Marketing at Mimeo.com. We're probably the largest online printer you've never heard of, unfortunately, as the marketing guy. Basically, we're 700 people. We're based here in New York. We're venture-backed. The way to think of it is it's an online version of FedEx Office or Kinko's that actually works. So our task was, how do we take this company, which is approaching $100 million in revenue, and bring it into a merchant program? So what's interesting about our company is we're kind of some interesting hybrid between a VC-backed, entrepreneurial, small company culture, and now this emerging large company that has systems and processes, technology roadmaps, competing different programs for capital, and figuring out how to actually launch an affiliate program in that environment. I'm here with Deb Carney. Deb, I call the voice of affiliate marketing because part of my education process was listening to her podcast, and I'll let her introduce herself.
How do we make these go forward? This is the next slide.
Oh, there you go.
That wasn't it.
Maybe the down button.
All right, well, anyway, I'm Deb Carney. A lot of people online know me as Loxley from some of the affiliate forums, and I've been in the affiliate space since 1995, 1996. I'm an affiliate manager. I started out as an affiliate, moved into affiliate managing. Now I'm an OPM, and as he said, we have a series of podcasts where we help people learn how to be better affiliates, better bloggers, and better merchants.
So what we hope to do today is give you kind of a perspective from 2 sides, or me being the publisher / brand new merchant and the experiences that I went through in all the things that you have to do to get a merchant program launched. And in Deb, you have an incredibly experienced OPM who knows all the ins and outs of this industry. And we'll give you kind of the yin and yang of that perspective as we go through launching a merchant program from A to Z. So this was me about a year ago. You know, I don't know about you, but when I'm in these sessions, I usually feel like everyone else in the room knows a lot more than I do. And you know, you hope to learn just a little bit more. So the real question is, how do you kind of avoid this? How do you know what to do next? And what do you need to think about? And often, and what I'm going to also try to share here is what are the things people don't talk about, because those are the things that usually trip you up, because you know, we tend to ride on the surface in a lot of these different seminars without really understanding, okay, now here's what you really need to know. So.
Here's what you really need. I also want to point out that on the tables there's some postcards that have the resources that we'll be talking about throughout the presentation, and you can take those and go see the sites after.
So we'll cover basically how do you get smart about this, what do you need to do to get ready to launch a merchant program, the key decisions you're going to have to make before you launch, what to do about launch and what to worry about, particularly those first couple weeks, and then some key lessons learned and tips so that you can avoid some of the pitfalls, because if there was one, I'd probably hit it. First, getting smart. Okay, so you know nothing. You're about to launch a merchant program. You don't know what you're doing. Where do you turn? So the first place, and Mimeo is a B2B where we target all size businesses. So I went to the place where we always go, and most B2Bs go these days, which is I went to LinkedIn. And I joined every group that had the word affiliate in it. And then I found that the affiliate program management group in particular was a great place to start. And I actually just posted a question, which was help. Don't know what to do. How do I start? How do I pick a network? Because the obvious thing to do when you're starting a merchant program is to say, okay, do I manage this? Do I get someone else to manage it? So the first thing I did is I went to LinkedIn, and I found it to be an incredibly helpful resource. Because what you find is there are a tremendous number of people that want to either scan those resources looking for new business opportunities, but there's an equal number of people that are equally lost to yourself, and became a great way to network with some folks that were also launching merchant programs. And it was a way to quickly share experiences as to what we were all going through.
Yeah, and I hardly use LinkedIn at all. So he didn't come across me there. But there are a lot of OPMs with a presence on LinkedIn, so that is a good resource. Just
some other things to look out for if you don't already. Geekcast.fm always has a new podcast posted every week. That's kind of when I go to the gym, when I get to the gym. That becomes my routine, and all the ABC series that Deb does. I would definitely check out Affiliate Fair Play if you haven't heard that from Adam Reamer, who spoke yesterday. I know you probably hear a lot about coupon sites, fraud in this industry, black hat players that Will Reynolds kind of referred to. You don't have to live in fear of all this, but you do have to be aware of it, because as you structure your programs, you are going to have to know how do you adjust, monitor, and understand how to avoid some of the problems in this industry. Affiliate Fair Play at least is a great way to get educated on what you need to anticipate as you put together your program terms and conditions and things like that. And of course, all of the Affiliate Summit resources that are available, such as the forums.
How many of you out here are merchants that currently have a program? Okay. And how many of you are people that are thinking about having a program? Okay, good. So and how many of you are not going to start a program at all, but you just want to hear what we had to say?
That's great.
You're going to have a program. Right. You just already know how to run it.
Right. So the first thing that I was thinking about when launching a program was, how can I launch the program with as little risk as possible to my career at Mimeo? Because if you work for a venture-backed company, you want your options to mature, and you actually want to make it through the multiple years that you need to do that. The problem is that if you go out and you hire staff and you have unrealistic revenue expectations with you which you then present to your senior management, it doesn't make sense. So the first thing we actually did is we did what we did with any program, is we put together a pro forma of expectations. And I anticipated how many publishers would we need to recruit, how many would we need to recruit per month, how much money would we need to make per month, and how quickly would that have to ramp. And that was probably the most important tool that I developed early on, because whenever I went to a network or I went to an OPM, the first thing I did is I pulled that out and I said, okay, this is what I need to do. These are the goals that I need to make. Here's what the entire Mimeo retail/self-service print team needs to do in order to get our bonuses and stay employed. So you need to sign up for this program. And all of our compensation systems, any contracts and everything else has to model after this. We also did deep competitive analysis. If you haven't gone through your competitors on CJ, Linkshare, Google, Buyout, wherever they happen to reside, I'd suggest you do it. There's tremendous, actually as a marketer, the amount of competitive information that companies give away on their affiliate network sites was kind of amazing to me. They give away their value proposition and how they articulate it. They give away their average order sizes. They give away what creative is actually working. Because if you look at CJ, it actually says these banners worked for affiliates and these banners don't. Yep. So you could actually model your program very closely and get some early traction just by kind of doing what they do.
Right. And the other thing about the competitive analysis is that you need to make sure that your company has a different value proposition. You've got something unique. And affiliates are going to look and see how you're, not only how you're different, but how you're converting. And you need to see where your competition is. There's a lot of people that think there's two schools of thought. I want to be on the network that has all my competition. I want to be on the network that doesn't have any of my competition. And either of those could work depending on your niche and your company. So choosing your network really, and before you start your program, you really do need to do a deep competitive analysis, because if you don't have enough margin to be competitive with your commission rates and your payouts and your cookie duration, affiliates are going to look elsewhere. So you really need to know what your competition is doing.
So beyond alignment of your entire senior management, knowing, okay, this is what outstanding success looks like if the affiliate program works, you also have to make decisions such as staffing, and that goes back to the risk that I talked about. I didn't want to take on any incremental staffing for the affiliate program beyond half a body, because I didn't know if the program would actually be working in our space, which indicated that if you're only going to put half a body on a program, you need some sort of outsourced support. In my case, I didn't even know there was such things as outsourced support. Here I was coming to the show every year, and because I was a publisher, I never paid attention to the OPM tables and things like that. I didn't even know there was such a beast as an outsourced program manager, that you could actually outsource all of this. You also need to realize that in a merchant program, a lot of people have their hand out. The consumer has their hand out because they want a discount or some sort of percentage off your list, right? So you need to give, percentage there. Then your OPM is going to want a percentage, or I believe should get a percentage if there is success. The network that you sign up with, if you go with a CJ or a LinkShare or whoever, they're going to take a percentage. So you have a couple of percentages that come off the top while you're discounting your product in order to be competitive. So you have to make sure that your margin actually can sustain all of that. And then the last piece here, at least for Mimeo, was Nexus tax, which I know doesn't apply to everyone or concern. But for example, Mimeo, 100% of our business comes online. So if you have, so then you really have to watch for, okay, can I recruit enough publishers if I can't recruit anybody from the state of Illinois, for example, because of their strict Nexus regulations, or some of the other states. You really have to go state by state and go to the Performance Marketing Association, understand which states have Nexus issues, or if you send an email to me, jgrill@mimeo.com, I'll send you my update on what's going on state by state, because I could take down our entire business state by state if I don't pay attention to where I'm allowed to recruit and where not, because we do not charge sales tax uniformly across the country.
Right, and the sales tax issue, it isn't a flat, if you have affiliates in California and you're based in New York, depending on what your product is and what your business model is, that affects how the Nexus tax laws will affect you. So don't automatically assume that because a Nexus law passed in California that you can't work with California affiliates. There may be ways around it, and an OPM or consultant will be able to tell those to you. They'll be able to research that for you based on your product and your business model.
And we're not going to spend a lot of time on the performance-based models. We can spend time later talking about that. But the key point here is this is all about who takes the risk, right? If I take more risk, I get more reward. So if I'm going to take the risk of compensating people for sales, if you're a publisher, you're going to say, okay, I want a higher commission. If you're just paying for leads, I want less. Personally, from where I sit, I'm evaluated at Mimeo on how much revenue my programs contribute to the company. So I want everyone in the sales channel or this merchant sales channel to also be aligned with that goal. Okay. So that's why Mimeo became a pay-per sale. Sure, I could figure out the math on pay-per-lead, but I don't like, because there's so many ways to get leads in this business. I just like everybody to be equally aligned. Of course, it becomes more difficult to recruit if you have a pay-per-sale program, because there's kind of delayed gratification. You're going to a publisher and say, okay, trust me, I'm going to be able to convert those leads. And it becomes a little more difficult the less well-known you are. For example, my competitor, FedEx Office, can just, slap the FedEx logo on a website and you're going to have nice lead and sale and whatever. With Mimeo, even though we're this big online alternative, no one knows about us except like the GEs of the world. So it becomes much more difficult.
Yeah. Now, of those of you that are merchants or considering being merchants, how many of you are cost per sale? You want to pay out a commission on sales? Okay, most. How many of you are considering or are doing a cost per lead? Okay, that's cool. That's that's about right.
The only caution on cost per sale and thing to watch is, and we'll get into a little later, which is you're going to cannibalize a certain percentage of your existing sales with your affiliate program. I'm amazed how many people work for like the Fortune 100, yet they go, you know, and they're on the Mimeo site, and it's not even their money per se, you know, it's their company's money, and they go searching for a coupon code on like Retail Me Not or something like that before they purchase the printing for an RFP that is worth $1 million, when it actually, you know, it doesn't make any sense. So you have to anticipate some level of cannibalization, and you have to be able to control for that.
Right.
Because also when you have, like we have 80 salespeople, so, you know, who gets the commission and those kind of issues come into it. Big caution here for those of us old enough to know Rube Goldberg cartoons and these mousetraps. Don't launch until your site is ready, is kind of the word here. In a company like mine, you always hear it's going to be ready July 1st. Some folks here work with us know. And then it's August 1st, and then it's September 1st. Yeah. So don't launch until everything is up and running, because you don't want to be bringing in publishers into your program, and then your site isn't converting like it should be, and then you're saying things like, well, trust me, it will be really good in a month.
Well, and I think the affiliates in the room would be very loud to say that if you launch too early and you show them your program before it's ready and you say, oh, creatives are coming, data feeds are coming, the affiliates are going to be like, you know, don't talk to me. And they'll actually probably shut down and not even come back when you are ready because you launched too soon. You really have to make sure that you have in place the things on your site and within your program before you launch. And that's one of the hardest things as an OPM, that we end up talking to merchants and they're like, all right, we're going to launch next week. And I'm like, no, you're not. I said, you know, it's going to take at least a month to 6 weeks before you're ready to launch, because, and they're like, all right, we're going to recruit. No, you can't recruit until everything is in place. Otherwise, you lose the time that you're spending on recruiting, and you could hurt yourself.
And even if you look at the Mimeo cards that I passed around, you actually see two logos. You see Mimeo and Easy Copy. If you think about Mimeo as like Photoshop with like 1,000 different controls for professionals, and you think about Easy Copy, that's Paint, you know, where you just want to like click a button and something prints. We found that through as we got into our affiliate program, in order to get the conversion rates we need to sustain it, we really needed both. Right. Because some affiliates came in looking to sell Photoshop or Mimeo, and some wanted to just put something on their website. Someone can click a button and say, yeah, I want a cookbook. I print that, click that button, and it goes. So that's why we're launching that Easy Copy program, because we're constantly evaluating the economics of the program. So instead of redoing Mimeo, we said, you know, we'll just have 2 different programs, and then then we can match the right program to the right publisher. All right, so I discovered that there's this thing called OPM. The way I did that was I actually, because all I knew from one of the networks, I actually called them all up. So I called Google. Well, actually, you fill out a little form and they get back to you eventually. Then
someday.
I called CJ, I called Linkshare, no one called me back. I called ShareASale. And basically, they all had recommendations as to who they like to work with, which kind of was a light bulb going off to saying, oh, they all have recommendations, which means that some OPMs have more clout with certain networks than others, and some are familiar with some networks than others. So where I went into this thinking you need to actually select a network first, and then you put your help together in terms of selecting an OPM, I would actually suggest you do the reverse. That I would speak to as many OPMs as you can, understand their level of familiarity and comfort and clout with the different networks, and then go and arrange for a network. Because it's much more important to understand who's recruiting for you than it is to choose network. Now, the one exception to that, we'll get into a little bit on the other slide, is like a CJ. Because CJ wants you to use their recruitment services. Because every network is not created equal, nor is every OPM created equal. So you really need to understand, okay, do I want to go with the network and have them recruit, or do I want to go with an OPM, have the OPM with me, help select the network, and then decide which one is best. And the way you start doing that is you really start on the OPM side putting together a list of criteria to help you select. And I strongly suggest that you do this. Because remember, in this business, everyone's professional, everyone's smart, everyone speaks well, and everyone specializes in conversion. So no matter what company you talk to, they're going to know exactly what to say to get you to want to sign. So I started ending every meeting, oh, they're good. Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. You know, and then what happens is you kind of run out of time, so you just pick the last one you spoke to. But because you just, because they all sound good. But there are real differences. Experience. It's not just experience as an OPM. It's experience in your specific category. I was amazed how many people did not have case studies in my industry. Actually, I was surprised how many OPMs didn't even bother to research my company, understand the print industry, the dynamics of it, and how do you actually go and recruit publishers within it. You know, they did a great job of telling me about themselves, but not about what I needed to know. Category knowledge. Are they recruiting for others like you? Big point. The OPM that we actually went with, Acceleration Partners, had tons of print clients. Now you may say, well, those are all competitors. Yeah, we're all shades of each other. But they knew all the potential publishers that could potentially work with Mimeo as well, plus they understood the intricacies of selling in our category. Reporting and process, not all of them have automated technology for reporting. If you work for a company where you need reports every week or every month, and let's say you're going to start working across multiple networks, if that's what you decide to do, pulling all that together is a real pain in the ass. So you really need to understand how to do that, particularly if you want to start measuring, as we heard yesterday in a few sessions, lifetime value and things like that of a customer. So reporting's incredible. Monitoring capability. Are people misusing your brand name and things like that? Devin mentioned someone's going to ask about fees, right?
Everyone
right.
will probably say, how
Right.
much is this all going to cost? An OPM normally, especially for a startup, is going to want a monthly retainer or a monthly minimum. And then after the program is ramped up, you can renegotiate, a percentage or either a flat rate minimum plus a percentage based on how many sales you have. But at the beginning of your program, you've got no sales. And an OPM can't work for you for free to help you build your program. And Jeff is actually one of the people that understands that, if you want to get an OPM's time, you need to pay for that time, because if you find someone who's running all their programs on percentage only, what's giving them an incentive to manage? It's almost like being attractive to an affiliate. Why should I run your program when these programs are already profitable? And so at least for the first 6 months, you should think about that you're going to need to pay an OPM a flat fee. There are a whole range, there are OPMs that'll start at very low rates, and there are OPMs that won't touch you for less than $5,000 a month. So, and one of the other things he mentioned about being in your niche, like even if Jeff had contacted me when he was looking for an OPM, we're not an expert in paper print industry. I'm an expert in fashion, as I worked for Cafe Press, so I would work in that type of an industry, but I would not be a good OPM for him, and I would tell him that right up front. So those are some things. And another thing that it says up there is chemistry. Make sure that you're picking someone that you can talk to and that you're going to get along with, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with this person, especially during launch and pre-launch. And if you're going to call me with a question and I'm not going to be available to answer it, you're going to get annoyed really quickly with me. So you want to make sure that it's someone you're glad to hear from. I have merchants that Skype me every night just to tell me stories about their day. And I have other merchants that they don't want to talk to me at all. They just want to know at the end of the month how much money they made and, send me an invoice. So you can have that range depending on your company and, interview, like he said, several OPMs were out there. And because of his problem with not knowing what an OPM was, we actually, on the Merchant ABC site, have put a question on there, what is an OPM, for people to fill out so they could tell me, and we're actually going to put together something, and a bunch of OPMs have gotten together, and we're going to put some stuff out there and start educating the public about what an OPM is. And it's basically a consultant that knows the affiliate marketing industry.
Also, I've come out of the advertising agency business. You could kind of figure out what your fee should be by doing back of the napkin math, right? If you know, okay, they're going to hire someone, it's probably someone between the age of 25 and 30, they probably make like 75 grand a year, mark it up for benefits at about 150. all right, so how many hours are they going to spend on my business? 25% of their time, 25% into 150, that's about what our fee should be, right? It's not that particularly complicated. If the fees are too low, that says to you, A, they're not going to spend a lot of time on your business, you're not going to get someone that's experienced, and they're probably going to rely on kind of get-rich-quick schemes, like they're going to be over-reliant on coupon sites, which for the most part, as I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm not going to make a value judgment because they strategically are good or bad, but if you're over-reliant on coupon sites, you're going to drive the revenue of the program up very quickly because it's going to steal a lot of that business you would have gotten anyway. And then what's going to happen if they're taking a percentage of revenue, if your OPM is, they're going to make lots and lots of money very quickly for very little effort. So you want to also know, okay, what percentage of time am I going to have? What are they recruiting every week? How much time are they doing it? Make sure you feel comfortable that they're actually spending the amount of time that they say they're working on your business. It's not just about the revenue, it's about time. Because if you're making the revenue, they should be spending that time that they don't need on the revenue they made, generating even more revenue or improving your program. So you really need to understand the economics and how they're making money.
The other thing too is network familiarity and access. I'm really familiar with Share a Sale. I've also worked with CJ and a little bit with the Google affiliate network. So I have experience with those, but I have none with LinkShare. And so I'm not likely to take on a client that's on LinkShare or to recommend LinkShare to a client. So if you think you need to be there, you need to find an OPM that is really familiar with LinkShare. The other thing too is the network OPM versus your own OPM. Networks are going to always be looking out for themselves. So some networks, that's fine. Other networks, they're going to put you in all the sites that may not be a value add just because they need to get their numbers up. So you really want to evaluate, do you want to have only the network, or do you want to have someone who really is a liaison between you, the network, and the affiliates, who knows the ins and outs of the networks and the different affiliates and the different types of affiliates.
Right. And each network definitely has an agenda. They have different fee schedules. The way they negotiate their fees is different, and the technique for getting the best fee structure, which is why you want to align OPM with network, because the OPM will actually understand, okay, what's the best way to work with this network? How do I get the most value? For example, Network A may not negotiate fees, but they'll give you a featured program announcement, or they'll do an email blast with your program. Where another network, it might be all about the fees and how they negotiate, or it might be about publisher access, where some networks give you great access, some networks don't, some you have to pay for it. So you really need to understand who could drive the most value. And actually the OPM becomes the fee becomes fairly reasonable when you understand that you could actually kind of get a lot more value out of the network you work with by working with the OPM, either within the network or outside.
Now, how many of you that have programs, how many of you are on a network? Pretty much everybody. Who's in-house? One. Okay. 2, 3. Okay. In-house programs are a little tricky sometimes. Affiliates are going to trust a network more than they're going to trust Mimeo.com that they've never heard of before to pay them on time. So unless your program is really outstanding and has a specific niche that and has a value brand and has been around for a while, it's going to be a little bit harder to recruit for an in-house program unless you have a really experienced OPM. How many of you are working with an outsourced program manager? Okay. How many of you have in-house, your own affiliate manager? Okay. How many of you have no affiliate manager and the owner is running it? Okay. That's a normal percentage, actually. There are a lot of people that, Jeff is talking from the corporate side. I tend to work with not as corporate affiliates or merchants. I tend to work with smaller merchants, and a lot of them, the reason they reach out to us is because it's a one-man show and they need help. And the other thing to remember is that you can get just startup consulting. You don't have to worry about, getting into a long-term contract with someone. If you want to just get a feel for them, you can get some short-term consulting just to get everything in place and get everything ready, and then train your in-house to take over.
Right, and actually the maturity of your company and your OPM are key considerations. for a company that's more established like Mimeo and the type of company we are, we want an OPM that's a little more process driven. And the way you know that, if you have your OPM introductory meeting and they bring out a PowerPoint and they show you here's our process and here's how we evolve it and here's how we optimize it, you know you're dealing with a much more mature OPM who can handle kind of the challenges of a larger corporation versus one which is a little more entrepreneurial, not to say seat the pants, but they just use different methods for managing the programs. It's just, it depends on what your company is like. I'll let you.
Oh, this is my area of expertise, is when a merchant comes to us and says, hey, we want to launch an affiliate program. And I look at their website and they have a private who is, there's an About Us page, but it doesn't really say much. Their privacy policy isn't clear. They don't have a shipping and returns policy, and there's, their contact info is just like an email address hidden way at the bottom. Your site, affiliates will go through your site and they will pick it apart and they will say, okay, I can't work with you because you don't have these elements on your site that build trust yet. So if we go on to the next one, when you have, once you get those pages in place, they build trust for not only the affiliates, but your shoppers. So much of the things that I talk about as making sure your site is affiliate friendly are also going to help your conversions, because it's going to make your site more shopper friendly as well. Affiliates want to work with sites that are converting. They don't want to be your traffic driver and your sales driver alone. They want to know that your site is already making money and that it has all these issues gone. One of the biggest things are leaks. For some reason, small companies think that, they have to throw an AdSense ad on their site because somebody told them they could make more money from it. When you put something like AdSense on your merchant site, on your store, or on your business site, it makes it look like you don't trust your product to be what they're looking for. And it gives somebody a way to leave your website. Affiliates aren't going to send you traffic for you to send it somewhere that they aren't going to make money on. If you have an 800 number, make sure that you have telephone tracking, because otherwise you're going to lose sales and you're going to lose affiliates, because they look at that 800 number, if you take orders through that 800 number, as a way that they're not going to have their sale tracked from the traffic they sent you. It sounds really basic, but there are a lot of sites that, they have an affiliate link out to something else related to their products because they think they can make money that way, when in essence they're losing money. Keep your customers on your website, keep them there through checkout, don't give them any place else to go, and make sure that your live chat is a wonderful thing, helps build trust, but make sure it's one that you're running that doesn't have affiliate links as their fee for running your live chat. Make sure that the affiliate commission is going to stay no matter how sales are made. And if you're going to have non-commissionable items, I understand that sometimes there are products on sites that have less margin than others, but what you should do in those cases is make it clear in your terms of service that there are items on your site that are non-commissionable, and let the affiliates decide if they're going to bother promoting you or not, because they're not getting paid. Just like if it was a leak, they're not getting paid if a customer buys a certain product from you.
Particularly on the phone number, and this I didn't anticipate, but after we went through all this and we launched, and then I was out at the ShareSell conference, and the number one thing potential publishers brought up to me were, hey, I see you have an 800 number on your site, how are you going to track my sales? Are you able to give me unique promo codes that people can then use in your call center? Is the call center able to handle those promo codes and be able to attribute it back to the affiliate? So all those things are going to hit you at this stage. Yeah. And then you also have to anticipate going to promo codes. Okay, so how am I going to deal with these coupon sites, if I'm going to deal with them at all? And do I have a promo code structure which allows me to maybe give out kind of like an overall discount to everyone, which the coupon sites will pick up? And just beware also of, there's sites that aggregate, like a skim links, and then the coupon sites will kind of join the, they turn the links into, they turn words on every web page into different links. What happens is a lot of the sites that you don't want in your program kind of sign up through these other sites. So you have to be aware as how are you kind of managing all these codes. So the way I think about it is I have like a baseline discount, and then I'll work with specific publishers and have discount codes just for them, so we could track back both on phone and online to that publisher.
Okay, so again, how many of you are selling a product, like a physical product, clothes, or what? Okay, and some of you are selling software type products. Okay. Really, really important, again, both to the affiliate and to your shoppers. Keep your product pages clean. Make sure you have good images. Don't take a shot of a product with your iPhone and put it up on your website and say, this is what I'm selling. Get some good professional looking images. Again, this stuff sounds basic, but you would be amazed how many sites don't take care of these things. Make sure you have a good site navigation. Make sure that your branding holds through to your shopping cart. So like even with a Yahoo store, you have to build your shopping cart section separate from your web pages. So you have to make sure that your branding and your styling carries over to the shopping cart, or when the consumer gets to your shopping site from an affiliate site, they've already made one hop. If they click on a product and they go to something that looks really scary, there's like no branding, they're going to wonder where did they land? Where did they end up? Make sure that your checkout is easy, it's fast, you're not putting any stoppers in there. The biggest thing for shopping cart abandonment is that shipping is too high, or you require login before they check out. Let them check out first, and then let them, then have them create an account. Then upsell them to, give them a coupon for their next purchase, or whatever you want to do as a value add. Don't distract them once they've got their credit card out. Let them finish the process. And, affiliates are going to send you traffic, but you have to do the conversions. Affiliates are going to pre-sell you a little bit. That's their job. But once they get to your site, you have to convert that shopper. And if you're not converting, the affiliates are going to go elsewhere.
You may also want to think about other issues that will hit you at this point. Are you ready to do custom landing pages for different publishers? Because if you have a publisher that has high potential, the first thing they're going to ask is, can you do a landing page? Can you measure the traffic to it? And can you measure the conversion? So around here, you want to make sure your Google Analytics or your Omniture is up to snuff so that you can kind of measure that, but also execute all sorts of custom programs. Program terms and conditions. This is where your OPM is worth their weight in gold. This is a very complicated industry. There's a lot going on, obviously, on the Nexus tax issue front, but there's also a lot going on in terms of how you allow people to use your brand and discount your product or fool people into believing that they discounted your product. A great example are like coupon sites where they cover up the discount because you didn't put out a discount code, and they make someone believe that there's like a discount under it. Then when you click this covered up coupon code, it goes right to your site, and they get the affiliate commission. So you had a legitimate publisher, right, send you a lead. They go to your site. They see a coupon box on the checkout. Someone says, ooh, coupon. They end up at the coupon site. The coupon site says, I have a great coupon, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Click here. Brings you back to the site.
With no coupon.
Right, with no coupon. So the original publisher who you want to get the credit doesn't get the credit, right? That's a big problem. Or you paid for a pay-per-click ad, and the same thing happens, right? It happens over and over again. So you have to kind of control for that. Adam Reamer actually yesterday had a great idea. I don't know how to execute it technically, which is, only have your coupon box appear when it's triggered by an affiliate link that you want to trigger, but I don't know how to.
That's a little complicated.
That's beyond my.
What you want to do, you can control what sites sign up for your affiliate program. You don't have to let every coupon site in the world sign up for your affiliate program. What we do with most of our programs is manual approval. We go out and we look at every website before we let them into the program. If they are a coupon site that has click to reveal, we will either just straight up decline them, or we'll send them a note and we'll say, you have click to reveal, this is why you're declined. You can put, if you don't put something in your terms and conditions, it means affiliates can do it. That's the most important thing. How many of you have a separate from the network, your own terms and conditions? Yeah. The rest of you, you need to get them. It's very simple. You know, you just have to, you know, do you allow trademark bidding? Do you not? Do you allow coupon sites? If yes, what kind? You know, you can step out all the things that you want to have affiliates do or not do. And
a great tip is, like, for example, I just read Amazon.com's terms and conditions. What you can do is just go, you know, you should always sign up as a publisher on all the different networks, just so you can learn what your competition is doing anyway. Then what I did is look for the better managed programs, and you know those are those that are usually managed by an OPM or a larger company, and just look what they're doing in their terms and conditions. And then you could actually pull key language from that, you know, of companies you admire, and that usually will cover you. The key thing that I learned, and I learned that from our OPM, is one thing you can do with the coupon sites also, if they're taking too much of your existing business or you don't like the way they're doing business, you could actually reduce their commission. So you could say, okay, I'm getting some new customers from this company, but most of them are repeat, so instead of paying them a 10% commission or 20, I'll pay them 2%. If you don't have that written, right? But if you don't have that written in your terms and conditions, and not to say you're trying to penalize them, but you want to, the whole idea is how do you enforce a set of behaviors that works for both you and the sites that are promoting your company. And you need that flexibility in your T&C.
And I think that's even more important in a lead generation program, that you know, if you have someone who's sending you a lot of really good leads, you reward them with a higher commission. And if someone's sending you consistently bad leads, you reach out and talk to them. And if they aren't going to be able to improve the value of their leads, either you remove them from your program or you negotiate a lower lead per lead.
Right. In terms of creative prep, you don't have to get crazy with it. There's a standard set of banners. I forgot the interactive industry, whatever, puts out a list of whatever banner sizes you need. I find most people take text links, and most people rewrite the text links anyway. But it's good to have a set or two of banners up, but nothing to get crazy about. Then you're ready for the launch, if you're not exhausted by then. And key to launch, of course, is do you have a launch plan? Did your OPM or network go out and tell you, okay, here are the 100 sites that we'd like to recruit when you launched? They should have given some thought to, okay, who's actually talking about your site now? Who are the key bloggers? Who do we go after? This is pick and shovel work, recruiting affiliates. It's calling them up, emailing them, forming a relationship, figuring out how you're going to actually convert. You're going to get very few like, oh, I launched, everybody's going to sign up for my program, unfortunately. So you really need the labor assigned to actually going out and recruiting and bringing people into your program. And like anything else, I don't even think it's like the 80-20 rule. I think it's like the 5-95 rule. You know, 5% of your affiliates are actually going to generate the majority of your sales.
Yeah, most of our programs are about 90-10. Again, because we do manual approval, we do have a higher active rate because we interact with people. Like if you apply for a program that's on manual approve and you see, oh my God, they're going to just decline me because they're manually approving, send a message to the ask before you decline people, send them a note through the network and say, I don't see anything in your network profile that looks like you're a good fit for our program. And then when they email you back, now you've established a personal relationship very quickly with an affiliate that's going to be good for you. And the ones that don't answer you back are the ones you didn't want to work with anyway. So just instead of a straight up decline, just a quick note, you know, can be 2 lines. Hi, this is what you signed up for. Where are you going to promote us? We don't see anything. But don't ask them specific plans. Don't ask them when they're going to do it. We had one merchant that he sent his first note to an affiliate that didn't have a site, and he said, when are you going to promote us? And English isn't his first language, so he didn't realize that he was, you know, the affiliate took offense and wrote a very nasty note back to him. And that's when he hired us. He said, I don't want to deal with these people anymore. You guys do that.
Which I think is important because I thought there were like 3 coupons. What did I know? I thought there were like 3 or 4 coupon sites. And then when you launch your program, like 100 of them apply that day.
That day.
And they all have the word coupon in the title. Coupon me this, coupon that, coupon, I had no idea who's good, who's bad, who's a legitimate player in the space that actually generates their own audience, who's actually taking audience from other people. It's very hard as a merchant to understand which way is up unless you're really intimately involved in this industry. And I find that our OPM really understands, no, go with those guys. I met them at a conference. Yeah. These guys, no, I never met them. Until I meet them, I don't want to. And I appreciate that they actually met people in person, had phone calls with some of these sites, and can actually work with them.
Well, and when you see all the cookie cutter sites that'll like apply for your program, most of those, when you decline them, they won't be sending you an email back because they know that their site is garbage, or it's just one of their sites and they don't really pay attention. They just go apply for every affiliate program on the network. And so again, your little note to them could be helpful, or you probably won't hear back.
So lessons learned from our journey. One, look for an I highly recommend, unless you're going to staff up and you have the expertise, if you're just starting out, you don't know the economics of your program, you don't know if it's going to pay out, minimize your risk, outsource whatever you can. It's not a tremendous amount of money if you have the margin to sustain it. You could always bring it in-house. You could always go to lower-cost networks. If you're making a lot of money for a network, believe me, that's a point of negotiation at renewal time in terms of your fees, right? Yep. So all gets good once you start making money, right? The question is, are you going to make money? So I would strongly consider an OPM at the process. As Deb said, they could be your startup consultant just to get you smart. Relative to what they deliver, it's not a lot of money. They could also help you with the goals of the program, competitive analysis, things like that. Work with them to pick a network. Just picking up the phone and interviewing networks is always a good thing. Learn who they like to work with. Learn your OPM's level of familiarity. Do they have the ability to pick up the phone and call the CEO of CJ or Linkshare or Buyat and get a little piece of technology or API developed for you, which saves a tremendous amount of time, or if you have a hiccup in your program. Talk to affiliates, get their opinion of your site, what they like, what they don't like. Might as well get that up front. I got that information a little late. Oh, what about your phone number? What about landing pages? What about promo codes? How are you protecting me against coupon sites? Be prepared for all those questions. And participate in the industry. We all know it changes every day. I try to get slightly smarter every day. It seems to be a never-ending quest. But the affiliate forums are great. Deb's podcasts are great. And you'll just to try to continue to be smart. You did all that, you're ready to go.
Well, and one other thing too is that you need to manage expectations. That was something we didn't put on here. Jeff touched on it a little bit with, affiliates aren't all going to sign up the first day that you're online. Unless you're a big brand, it's going to take 3 to 7 months before affiliates are going to trust you to stick around. Affiliates don't like working with brand new programs always because they are afraid that the program isn't committed to the affiliate channel. They want to give it some time and see what the numbers are from other affiliates, and don't expect even, a good OPM can get you affiliates right away, but what that means is they got their attention, you got on their to-do list, now you have to get up to the top of their to-do list. Most of them are SEO, so they're going to take time to get their pages spidered and ready for you. So it will be a good, 6 to 12 months before you're really turning a profit on your affiliate program, and you really need to understand that up front. The first 3 months are going to be building, getting feedback, making sure affiliates understand that, yes, we're in this for the long haul. And that's another thing about hiring a consultant, and I'm not here trying to sell my services. I have a whole list of recommended OPMs, but when you hire somebody who's already familiar and can make those phone calls to those key affiliates, they can even make that phone call and say, hey, Eric, I want you to review this site. This guy's got an affiliate program coming up. What do you think? And Eric will say, oh, this is a great site. Or Eric will say, send me a 10-page list of all the things wrong with the website. So, like he said, a good resource is forum.affiliatesummit.com. We have a lot of OPMs on there that you can start talking. You can talk to other industry experts, you know, Sean and Missy, we all know them. It's their forum. And I'm the admin, so, you know, there are a lot of really good people on there. There are a lot of people on Geekcast that have really good podcasts, not just ours. We have an ABC series, which is the very basics, but there are also some podcasts that get into higher level things and a lot about marketing.
Right. There's a lot of good players in this industry and a lot of honest people. You can find them. You just have to know who they are. You just don't know who they are when you're first starting out.
Right.
But eventually you find them. So why don't we do
Yeah, do you have any
Q&A?
questions? On the last slide.
None?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
So now that you're up and running, what are the challenges that you're facing today?
We're still,
Repeat the
the question is, what are some of the challenges that we're facing today? Our biggest challenge is that we found that Mimeo.com was a little too complex to sell in the affiliate space. As I said, it was kind of like the Photoshop of printing. It has tons of industrial strength, enterprise tools that, you know, it's not like I need something, I click a button, and I print it, which is what you really need in the affiliate world in order to get the conversions that you need. So we had to launch a whole new brand. That was issue one. Issue two is really breaking through to the good publishers and identifying who they are and really doing kind of that work to get them into the program. We're getting there, but everything takes longer than you expect. Not to mention getting the corporate resources I need every time I need a technology change or, you know, to meet one of these requests.
What do you guys do to typically get those harder to get affiliates into your program?
You could answer that.
The question is, how do you get the harder to get affiliates into your program? One of the things that you can't control is longevity. They are going to wait until you've been around for a while. Then the other thing is you need to start, you need to be where they are. So you're here at Affiliate Summit and you're able to meet people. So that's, you know, this is a really good place to start making those relationships. And then the other thing you need to be is on the affiliate forums. You know, there are several of them. Just do a search for, you know, affiliate marketing forums. Start out at ours, branch out to others. You know, depending where what your product is, you know, go out to places where people that use your products actually are. You know, try to find bloggers that are blogging about your space. And then reach out to them. Don't be spammy. Don't say, hi, first name. You know, I went to your website and I think you're a really good fit for our pajama program, and you send it to a financial site. You know, you really need to make sure that when you're out there looking for the affiliates that you send them personalized emails, try to hook up with them at conventions. Another thing that Affiliate Summit is doing is that they have meetups that are organizing in almost every major city, and if there isn't one in your area, start one. And you can meet with people. Our New York City meetup has between 15 to 25 people every month, and we're meeting, you know, people that in small groups that now we can talk to you and we can figure out what you need, and you can hook up with various affiliates or whatever.
I think you also have to be very strategic about how you go recruit and be very targeted. You know, if you think about print, you think about it somewhat generically, for example. But if you think about, okay, a poster could be a blown up photograph. So I'm going to go after photography sites, and I'm going to put a whole promotion program around blowing up your photographs and getting them printed in poster size. Or it could be a calendar, or it could be a cookbook. So I'm going to go after bloggers that talk about cookbooks, and then I could go after bloggers that talk about cookbooks that have their own ebook, so they could offer it as an ebook or a printed book. So you kind of have to take your business a little further down and get very targeted into the lives. And I love working with bloggers, particularly in doing, I forgot the name of the tool, but if you email me, I'll send it to you. You know, there are tools you can use to find all the bloggers that do certain things, and you can get lists of them. And then you can kind of go through those lists. And what happens is, you know, at least for printing, you get through all the sites that don't take affiliate ads, which is part of the struggle, right? When you go to Google and you type in, you know, cookbook, you're going to get everyone that doesn't take ads. So you're going to have to get to that next layer of sites that actually do work with affiliates, and the bloggers are a great place to start there.
The other thing to do is be vocal in your market. Like we have our ABC's podcasts. You know, do something that reaches out more personable to affiliates. You know, do a podcast, do a YouTube video about your program. You know, and then put it out in your newsletters and put it in public places so that people can find you.
I also find the featured program slots, we were advised by our OPM to do that. That helps as well.
Yep.
You know, if you buy a featured program slot. Also, you know, it doesn't hurt to contact your network and say, hey, I'm struggling, can you give me a featured program spot? Or can you help me with a little bit of promotion? They're highly incented because they take a percentage of your revenue to get your program up and running, particularly if you represent significant revenue down the road to them. So don't be afraid to ask.
There was another question back here.
Sure. In regards to fraud, how do you ideally control fraud? I know in the past, fraud is always an issue in the States. How do you really control it?
Okay. The question is, how do you control fraud? Your network is your first layer of defense. If you're on a good network that, you know, they watch the sales coming in, they don't want you to be hurt by fraud because even though they're making money off of your commissions, if you're getting a lot of fraudulent leads or fraudulent sales, you're going to leave the network and they're going to make no money. So the network is your first layer. There are companies like Brand Verity that will help you check your traffic and make sure that your affiliates aren't doing something wrong. And again, having a proactive affiliate manager that can look at your sales and say, oh, these are all coming from the same IP address. You know, these are the things that are a problem. These are the things, you know, we need to get this affiliate out of our program.
One of the things I like on ShareSale in particular is that they, not to do a commercial for them, but they give you where the lead came from. You could actually look, so I look at every order, I look at where it came from, and so I look at the referral source.
Right.
And then you can kind of look, I would once in a while audit that, look at the referral source, and see how they're doing it. And then when I uncover something that I don't like, then I bring the OPM into the discussion and say, what do you think about this? Is it right? Should we contact them? Should we reduce the commission? Is it legitimate? You know, so you have a bunch of tools to manage that. Yeah.
Other than click to reveal, what are some other things to look for the coupon sites that you want to find right away?
Okay, the question is, other than click to reveal, what else?
What other things can you look for to determine whether a coupon site is worth keeping versus automatically declining?
Okay, which coupon site, to be able to identify coupon sites that you want to work with versus ones that you don't. So first of all, do a search for maybe one of your competitors plus the word coupons. The ones that come up first, take a look at them, and most of them are going to be the better coupon sites unless they're a click to reveal, which some of the larger sites do click to reveal, but if you ask them not to, they will, for your program, not do click to reveal. So it's up to you if you want to work with them or not. You can usually tell if you've looked at a couple of coupon sites, you'll see the cookie cutter sites, you'll see the ones that are using a WordPress plugin. You know those folks may not be as experienced as other coupon sites. You know, again, a consultant or your network, they'll all know the big coupon sites. They will know the ones that you should be working with and the ones that you shouldn't, and you should even audit those sites. But there are, you know, there's a lot of tools out there, and you get familiar when you start looking at them. You know, you're going, there's click to reveal, click to activate, click here for, we caught one of our affiliates that's a rather good affiliate in one of my programs, and all of a sudden they had put at the bottom of their coupon page where they had our real deals. We don't have coupons in that program, we only have deals. And at the bottom, there was a box that said, click here for a super special sale. And obviously there was none. So
I mean, what you want to see is if you have a coupon code that you put up on the network and it's 25% off and it's a legitimate code and the coupon site picks up that legitimate code and they say, hey, it's 25% off.
Right.
And if you're checking your sales and you see those sales are new and you know, and they're not, you know, something that might have come from another affiliate, you can feel pretty good about it. And you could actually tell just by looking, I find. It's
okay,
not,
we've got about 5 minutes, so we got
All right.
time for a couple more questions. One more.
A lot of the sites that do the click to reveal aren't necessarily, I mean, they still have promo codes under there for valid sales.
no,
No,
they don't.
no.
Because I always look at our
Right.
coupon sites, and they're legit.
Right, because you have coupons. But if you're a site that doesn't have coupons, they also have a click to reveal. because they've optimized for your program, and you will click on an ad, and there's no coupon code, and you're just
No, I
dropping
know
a cookie.
There are those like that, but there are legitimate.
Yeah, there are legitimate sites. That's why you have to look,
Why do they
right?
do it? Why do they do the click to reveal?
Set a cookie.
Okay.
That's all they want to do is set the cookie. We had a question over here.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you have a list of like fraud, is there any resource that has a list of all the fraudulent techniques that are out there that use, or are there any technologies that exist that you could add on?
If we did that, then the question was, is there a list of the fraudulent technologies or the fraudulent techniques? And the answer to that question is, if there was a list, there would be affiliates that would go down that list and do that stuff. So basically, you have to rely on consultants and networks and people, and just keeping an eye on your own sales.
I believe you can hire the person who runs Affiliate Fair
Oh,
Play.
right, Affiliate Fair Play will help you out
Like for
also.
$100 a month or something, they'll do some monitoring. Our program, there aren't enough, I'm able to watch it along with the OPM, so I don't think it's necessary at this point.
And then lead gen, and like 90% of our traffic is fraudulent.
Right.
Thousands of leads.
And that goes along with the lead gen industry. So you've got to kind of be really careful, about what you do.
What, in your experience with all the different merchants that you've worked with, how long does it typically take for you to start seeing an ROI when you set up your affiliate program?
Okay, so the question is, in my experience, how long does it take to see an ROI? And it actually, like I said earlier, it's going to take 6 to 12 months, and then we're really happy if we get much before that. And most of our programs, right at that around 6-7 month mark is when they say, okay, now we're breaking even, and then now we're making money. So, and it depends on the niche. It depends on the niche.
You'll have the 100 coupon sites apply, that will die down, then you start your recruiting, and then, remember, publishers usually do it part-time, a lot of them. Hard to get their attention, they have to be reminded to put the link up. By the time they get all that together, you're really in month 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, like I said, you got to get on their to-do list, then you got to move up their to-do list, and then they have to get spidered and get the SEO for your pages. So typically for an affiliate, once they join your program, it's going to take them 1 to 2 months before they can even send you a sale. One last question?
Okay, so taking it slightly differently, in the UK, which I possibly come from, say, there's a lot of merchants that run dual network strategies. I don't see that very much in the US.
Right.
Can you give us a take as to why that might be and the arguments for or against it?
Okay, we did an entire podcast on that, a really good one. So if you go to Merchant ABCs, you'll see that, but I'll still give you an answer. The question is, in the UK, there are a lot of merchants that run on multiple networks. And here in the US, there are a lot less. One of the problems is the technology to be able to credit the click to the last, to credit the click to the appropriate, not only the appropriate affiliate, but the appropriate network. So you have to have technology in place that if a CJ affiliate link is clicked and a Linkshare affiliate link is clicked, that you know which one was the last one. And you have to do that before the end of the transaction, because if you have both of them fire and then you figure it out and then you go reverse one, you're going to have a high reversal rate and you're going to have pissed off affiliates because you took their commission away. So
I would also recommend, I didn't want the complexity of multiple networks up front.
Right.
We just needed to prove that we could do this, and then you could experiment with multiple networks or no networks.
Okay, so we're getting the flag that our time is up. If you have any other questions, feel free to come up and ask. Use
Or
the
email us
resources.
at any time. Deb
Yep.
is great at answering
Our
questions.
contact information and the resources are all on those cards. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.